Hey, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Paul Fleming here in your chamber check-in day, and I'm so excited to have a conversation with Cody Freston. But before we get to that introduction, I wanted to thank our sponsor for this whole series for the month of March for these check-ins, presented by Alaska Airlines. So thank you, Alaska Airlines, for the continued partnership and investment in the Boise metro community. Your enhanced services are an asset to the entire business and travel community. As you know, Alaska provides essential air service to the Pacific Northwest and recently announced new routes to Chicago, Austin, and other great destinations, including San Francisco, San Jose, Los Angeles, San Diego, and just in time for those spring breakers, a direct flight to Palm Springs. So thank you again, Alaska Airlines, for your continued investment in our community and expanded air service. And with that, today I get to introduce and have a conversation with Chief Executive Officer of Doctors Hospice of Idaho, Mr. Cody Freston. Hi, Cody.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. About 7 years ago, I met you for the first time at a ribbon cutting for the Alzheimer's Association. Do you remember that?
I do. I had the pleasure of being on the board of the Alzheimer's Association for several years, and I still partner with the organization and still get to do the Walk to End Alzheimer's and a couple other events throughout the year. And I do remember that. And actually, in a roundabout way, I became a chamber member because of my dear friend, Mackenzie Rogers, was the executive director at the time. And she told me about the award-winning Chamber of Commerce that Boise Metro had. And I had just moved to town. Mackenzie was one of the first people that I had met, and she got me involved in the chamber. And I went from knowing 7 people to 2,000 people in a short amount of time.
That's awesome. Well, what really intrigued me about that first time I met you and to now, bridging that gap, is you're still in caring for people. And that is, always been curious to me how you got into industry. So on our conversation today, we'll talk a little bit about the organization you're with now. But tell us more about why you're involved in caring for our elderly population.
Certainly. My interest in healthcare began, when I was in high school. I was a member of the HOSA organization, Health Occupation Students of America, and I had a leadership role with that group. And I knew at that time that I was going to be in healthcare in some capacity, and I knew the administrative side spoke more to me. I attended college at the University of Utah, and then I did a master's degree in leadership with an emphasis in healthcare management. And I started my career in hospice shortly after. I worked for a company in Ogden, for a hospice company. I had family members who actually had experienced the program. So that was really my first experience with it. I had great-grandparents and then grandparents that went into a hospice program in another state, and I saw that firsthand, and I thought, this is exactly where I want to be. And I've been in the hospice industry for 18 years. I moved here in 2013 and had been with an organization that did care in Utah, Idaho, and Arizona. So I was coming up here for a couple of years before I moved here professionally. And then we started our own hospice, Doctors Hospice, in 2016. And then since then, we've expanded and started a Doctor's House Calls in 2018. And added a wound care program in the last year as well. So that's kind of how I got my start. And I took the skills that I learned through college and being in the hospice industry for 13 years under someone else's tutelage and took those and we started our own. So Doctors Hospice was founded in 2016. We are locally owned and operated. We are one of the few that are still locally owned and operated in our area. There's about 3 of us that are independently owned, 3 or 4, and it's very good. So we have a really solid team and a family approach, and the team that we have has been with us for several years, some of which some of the members of my team worked with me previously. So we've worked together for longer than our company has been formed, actually. But one of the things I love about our office, we have a picture of all of our employees in our conference room, and it's kind of like the same feeling that when you go to your grandmother's house and there's a picture of every grandchild in the hall. I get to walk by that every day, and just really am fortunate to be part of such a wonderful team and rub shoulders with such caring and wonderful individuals.
It's so important to have, folks like you and to care for people that are ending or having some issues that need to go to hospice. So recently, I had my own personal experience with a family member being admitted into a hospice and unfortunately has passed. But tell me more about the programming that you do and how do you care for those and what type of people reach out to you?
Sure. First of all, Paul, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm glad that you had a good experience with hospice. We have a saying where when we bring a patient into service, we don't just take on a patient, we take on a family as well. So we have a team that is really assigned to the families and to the patients. So our team consists of course, a registered nurse, an RN that cares for the patient and does visits as often as needed and really manages the patient top to bottom. The nurse coordinates that care with the physicians. We have physicians and nurse practitioners who make home visits, who assess our patients. We come to them. But also we have a team of social services that are available for patients and for families. And our social services and our bereavement program, really, they are the programs that are for the living and for the family members who remain. Our social services help with advanced directives, if they need food resources, placement, lots of stuff. But also they're counselors and help with the grief and with the anxiety that losing a spouse or a partner you may be experiencing. The bereavement and grief services are part of the hospice benefit, and they extend to family members for up to 13 months after a patient has passed away. So we have the availability for our social services and our chaplains to follow these families. They meet them on an individual basis. We also have a support group, and we have group workshops throughout the year. We do those via online and COVID due to COVID right now, but we are hopefully going to have those on site again here soon, as soon as we're allowed. But that is always a welcome thing. And then we do an annual memorial service for all of our patients who have passed away on an annual basis, and we try to do some type of remembrance and activity, and it's very good closure for some people.
Before we went live, I was telling you how difficult, just talking about, end of life stuff, and it's so important that there's resources like Doctors Hospice of Idaho out there for that care. And what you said about caring for the family that's experiencing this is so critical. So thanks for bringing that up. And another thing I was confused on before we talked about was you don't have a hospital. You serve the folks in their own homes. Correct?
That's correct. We provide our care wherever a patient resides. So that could be in their own home, in the home of a family member, an assisted living facility, a skilled nursing facility, anywhere that is deemed home. In fact, actually, we've provided care for someone who was in the Idaho Department of Corrections, and we've provided hospice care for people who have lived in temporary housing in homeless shelters. We can provide care wherever someone calls home.
That's fantastic, because think about a family having to gather everybody in a place that they're not familiar with, And I think that's just fantastic. You were talking a lot about your team, and how many employees do you have, Cody?
Good. We right now I think we have about 36. We are in the process of joining. Well, there's 6 to 7 new employees that are joining our team this week. So we are expanding. We have quite a few people actually. We have, like I said, we have a couple of physicians. We have a couple of nurse practitioners. We have RNs, CNAs, social services, chaplains. We have a team of office specialists that help with everything behind the scenes. And I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting, but we have an amazing team. And actually, and also because I mean we're a smaller agency, and we are locally owned and family operated. A lot of us have many hats, so that's why I'm having a hard time identifying what does everyone do, because everybody that walks by, I'm like, well, they actually do this, and this and that and that. So same as all of us. Some people, like I said, our office people. One of them does all of our IT, but doesn't have the title of IT. But we all know, like, oh, I don't know how to do this. Let's ask her. So, but I do have a really phenomenal team that I enjoy very, very much. So
that's the most important part, right, Cody? Is having the team that you like, you trust, and get along with, and it's even elevated in your industry. So, kudos to you for recruiting good people. It's so important.
And and one of the other things I wanted to say on the team is we also have volunteers. So we have people who are amazing, that give of their time and talent. We have volunteers that really do anything that they're comfortable with. So we have some RN students who are nursing students that are volunteers. We have social work interns who are volunteers also. But we also have family members of past patients who have connected with our team that give of their time. We have a patient, a patient's daughter who owns a bakery, and she volunteers her time and her talent and treasures. Every month, she makes a birthday cake for patients that are celebrating birthday, that have a birthday that month. So every one of our patients who have a birthday, they get a little birthday party from us, and a handmade, amazing cake. That are custom decorated. They're just beautiful. We have other volunteers that are talented with quilting and sewing, and at Christmas time, we were able to provide a quilt for every one of our patients that were on service that were donated from our volunteers. We have a volunteer who has certified pet therapy dogs, and she brings her dogs in to visit our patients, and that is so much fun. And we have a dog here in the office, and when Kim brings Petey over, the dogs get to play a little bit. So sometimes, it sounds like a little, just like kids and dogs playing around. It always brings a smile to everybody of our team. So we have an opportunity for volunteers to help in any capacity that they're comfortable with. Some of our patients like companionship, and our volunteers serve that need. We have volunteers that help with preparing administrative files in the office. Whatever the volunteer is comfortable with, we will gladly let you share your talents with us. So we're always training new volunteers. And if anybody that's watching this is interested in giving of their time and talent, we would love to facilitate that in any capacity.
Well, you're leading by example, Cody, because I know from our previous conversations that you serve on different nonprofit boards and also with us. And you serve in a capacity as an ambassador. I'll call you a raving fan of the chamber. And it's been so nice to have incredible people like you and our other ambassadors to help welcome businesses to our community. So thank you again for your time today. Thank you again for your investment in the chamber and the people that you serve and are around every single day.
Thank you, Paul. It's absolutely my pleasure to be in the capacity of a chamber ambassador and to bring care to those who need. So I moved to Boise in 2013, and Like I said, the chamber was one of my first connections, and I'm very grateful for it. I've made several friends, and actually, when I was interviewing to be a chamber ambassador, one of the things they asked me about was why this was important to me, and I have told them that everyone who has visited me since I've moved here falls in love with Boise and our community, and I'm very proud of that. This is our town. This is a town that is, you know, is growing every day, but is growing in a good way, and people are very, very nice. And like I said, I knew maybe 6 people here when I moved here, and I know maybe 2,000, and that was to the chamber and to the commitment that they have of connecting people and like-minded people in business. So it's always time well spent, and I appreciate the opportunity to be part of the chamber.
Thanks again, Cody. I look forward to the next time we get to see each other in person. And have a great week. Enjoy the spring weather.
You too. Until then, thanks, Paul.